The views expressed on this program are not those of intellectualradio.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady Rochelle.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Rochelle, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Money Making Monday, and our topic for today is from renter to home ownership. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from Roman with the Drive at 5. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On our last show, we talked about, are you at risk for a stroke? With our healthy solution expert, Doc Michelle. And if you missed that episode, you can go over to YouTube, type in Intellectual Radio, and stay connected with us. The quote of the day is, everyone desires to own their own home, but the actual purchase is reserved for those with good work ethic and those who are brave and committed. We are grateful for our sponsors. We have Gloria Dotson with Mary Kay, Paula Kelly with Allstate, and Emmanuel Church of God in Christ with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emmanuel Kojic at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emmanuel Kojic-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we're from the Emmanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
Support my sponsors. Make sure you watch them every Sunday morning at 10:15 a.m. on Facebook. Here are your trending topics for today. At least 48 people have been shot, 10 fatally since Friday night in Chicago, with more than a third of the shootings happening on the west side of Chicago. The youngest victim was a 15-year-old boy who was shot on his porch in Lawndale community. The two gunmen approached with with open fire, and shortly before midnight at the 3900 block of West Lexington in Chicago, the 15-year-old was dead, but pronounced dead by the Cook County Medical Examiner. Those are your trending topics for today. I'm excited about my guest. She always comes with the gems, talking about from renter to home ownership. We have none other than our Milwaukee native who has transformed her education and career around real estate. She is a real estate broker in 4 states, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Florida. She's also a real estate instructor, a real estate investor, coach, mentor, trainer, keynote speaker, author, and a new real estate developer. Welcome to Warriors Talk, Tamara Moutry. Welcome, Tamara. Should I say welcome back?
Yep, a pleasure to be here. And you forgot about Illinois, which is where I am right now.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
Yep, I'm over here because I actually was showing homes to a family member of mine today, and over the weekend I came to as well. I had been working with her, purchase something in Illinois. We saw quite a few nice homes today.
Wow, I'm excited about that. Well, you
Yes.
know, Tamara has been coming on for the last, I want to say 3 or 4 months, giving us information about not only home ownership. Last month we talked about extra streams of income as it relates to not only real estate, but other areas too. So I'm excited about today because I know that there are many people out there who are renting and they are looking forward to home ownership. So today we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons as it relates to renting and home ownership.
I'm glad to be back to talk about this. I just want to let everyone know that if you can rent, you can buy. It does take some discipline for you to be able to do so. And there are a number of things that you need to start working on in order for this to happen for you. It is not it's not for the weak, but you can prepare yourself ahead of time to do the things that you need to do to be prepared for homeownership. A lot of people might think that they can't do it, and a lot of people have been misinformed. And we've talked before about getting ready for homeownership and what you need to do to prepare for it. And I'm going to touch on some of those things again today. One of which is you making sure that your credit is in order. That's one of the first steps. There's websites that you can go to check your credit scores. A lot of people use Credit Karma, which it really isn't accurate, but it's a guide to show you where a couple of your scores are. It doesn't show all three. I want you to use a website that only costs a couple of websites that only costs $1. And I hope everybody has a pen and paper, because you are going to want to take notes so you can prepare yourself. Get a folder out and make sure that you have this folder available so you can know all the documents that you need to have to prepare for home ownership when it's time for you to go to a lender to get pre-approved. The things that I have to talk about today are going to be very important to the process. I don't want to have anyone think that because, number one, they're in a Chapter 13 that they can't buy, or if you have a 580 credit score. The lenders use the middle credit score to qualify you. And you can check on your scores by going to www.scoresense.com. www.scoresense.com. That's SCORE Sense, SENSE.com.
I have a question, Tamara.
Okay.
Is that middle score different from the mortgage score?
These are normally the Vantage scores that you get offline. And I was going to give you one other website that they should know about that's kind of expensive, but this is the FICO 8 score that the mortgage lenders actually use. And that is for myfico.com, www.myfico.com. That's MYFICO. Now that is the one that the lenders pull. The Vantage scores are ScoreSense and the Credit Karmas and the www.creditchecktotal.com. Experian merged with creditchecktotal.com. Those are some websites that you can go to pull your scores, and it costs $1. And then you know how it goes. After that, they have the little trial period, and you can.
Okay, I think Tamara froze a little bit. If you are just tuning in, we're talking about from renter to home ownership, and she was just giving us some steps and some things that you need to do to put yourself in a position to purchase.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's freezing, but I was just saying that Credit Check Total and Experian, they merged together for you to be able to pull your scores, and it only costs $1. You can pay after the trial is up to monitor your scores, and monitor it going up after you make improvements to your scores. You have to make sure that you have a middle score of 580. I like for people to try to be in the 600s, because if you have to get credit pulls, then and it brings your score down some, you have room to be able to do that. Where do I start? It's so much to talk about. I have
a quick question. I'm sorry. Is it true that some of the lenders won't work with you if you're using the like the home buyers assistance programs? Like it slows down the process, or they don't want to work with you altogether?
That is true. And so when you have that happen, what you need to really do is pay attention to the lenders who will accept those down payment assistance programs. Sometimes they are not always the greatest. Make sure you always read the fine print as it relates to working with governmental programs and things like that. You need to be well informed and made aware of everything that those home buyer assistance programs entail and what they will do for you. And again, the fine print, because a lot of people don't know that sometimes they end up paying more with the down payment assistance program. And also they have stipulations. They may tell you you need to stay in the home for 5 or 10 years. So if those things are going to be problematic for you, you need to be careful about those down payment assistance programs. I know that Section 8 has a down payment assistance program, or they have a program for people who are on Section 8 or rental assistance in certain places. And they will allow you to still keep a rental assistance or Section 8. And people think it's such a great program. But some of the things that they don't tell you is that the home will not be passed down to your heirs if you pass away or whatever else. So you have to be careful again about those down payment assistance programs. I know a lot of people need them, but sometimes it makes sense for you to just use your own down payment. A lot of times it's not that much. You can do it. You can save. Stop buying all the wigs. Stop buying all that other stuff. Stop going out to eat so much. You can save your own down payment money. They do work for the right people. There are a lot of 100% financing programs out there. But of course, your credit has to be good. And when I say good, you know, they do have programs for people who are in the 660s and 680s. And you have to do some research on your own. Do your own due diligence and look online for your city or state and find out what programs are available to you based on your credit score. Most lenders, I won't say most, I'll say some lenders will accept that down payment assistance. Some of them don't participate in down payment assistance programs. So you got to be careful about that. There are home buyer assistance programs that allow you.
All right. She's frozen again, and I'm sure she'll be back. So Walter said he has his pen and he's ready. Lakeisha says home ownership is a stable investment, stable mortgage payments. The equity is cheaper than rent. And that's what we're trying to find out today. Like, what are the pros and cons of home ownership? Should we keep renting, or should we start saving and putting ourselves in a position so that we can own a home? So she's given us a lot of good gems today as it relates to what you need to set yourself up for home ownership and why.
This keeps freezing up. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me and see me now?
I can hear you and see
Hello?
you. Yes.
Freezing up. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me and see me now?
I can hear you and see
Hello?
you. Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, great. All right. What I was saying before it froze again is that there are some places that will not allow that down payment assistance, and some places who.
Okay, I'm gonna need Tamara to get out of the car. I know she's busy running around doing her thing, but so we're talking about some of the places that will not accept the down payment assistance. And my question was, why? Why do they don't want you to use it if that money is there? If the money is there for people to help them to be homeowners, why are they discouraging you from using it? It's like they don't even really want to be bothered with it. So what Tamara is saying is to research the individual lending companies who will accept it. And if you're going to be using that, then those are the companies that you will go for. There is also discrepancies when it comes to FHA and when it comes to conventional loans. So it just depends on what you want to do, but do your research. Like she was saying, go to YouTube, type it in, and it'll bring up all the information that you need. Can you hear me, Tamara?
Yes, I can. I'm not sure why we have such a terrible connection. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
And you can see me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay. All right. So one of the things you need to look at is as far as you wondering why they decided that they don't want to help us or whatever, they sometimes they just, the lending programs just don't coincide with their model. Their bank does not, they're not a vendor with any of the programs. They haven't signed up for those programs. Unfortunately, I do want to bring up some very important points for people to understand and know for today. And that is, we are having a difficult time with our buyers getting FHA financing. And I wanted to discuss that today. This is part of coming from a renter to home ownership, and I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I would like for everybody to get their scores as high as possible. That way you can possibly get a conventional loan. I hate to say this, but they are undercover discriminating against us because most of our people need what? FHA financing because of the minimum down payment amount. And as it relates to that, I want to tell you about an FHA loan. That's the Federal Housing Administration loan. What's happening is our people who are using those loans, the sellers of these properties, they know that the inspections are a little bit tedious. And they know that if they take a person that has FHA financing, then they know that they may have to do some repairs to the property. And with a conventional financing, and of course, cash or private money lending, they can more so not have to do repairs to the property, or they will skip past certain things. FHA, they have an appraiser that comes out, and there's certain things that they look for. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes FHA appraisals come back short. And what happens is if those deals fall apart, those transactions fall apart, now that FHA appraisal is stuck to that property for 6 months. So with that being
All right, she is frozen again. I know she hates the fact that she's frozen, but she's talking about FHA and how some of the different lenders are wanting you to use the conventional loans. Basically, they're discriminating with the FHA because a lot of us have student loans, and we know that we're not going to qualify for the conventional loans when the FHA when it comes to that. So my suggestion is to do your research, get the information that you need, whichever way you decide to go. Just make sure that you're lining up all of your ducks in a row when it comes to buying a home. Just know that it's not going to be an easy process, that you're actually going to have to do some work. Like she said, when it comes to your credit, with the FHA, they'll go with a 580. But with the conventional, they want you to have at least a 620. So my thing is, if you go with the 580, you're going to have a high interest rate, which means you're going to have that insurance to where it's going to be tacked onto your mortgage payment, which means it's going to be a little higher. Hold on, she's back. Can you hear me, Tamara?
Yes.
All right. So Walter said, gosh, the bad signal in the car. This is such a needed topic and a great guest. Please have her back. She's educating us. So Tamara is actually on the fourth Monday of every month. She comes on and she shares her wisdom about real estate and any other topics that she wants to bless us with. So she would definitely be back.
Okay. I'm still here. Can you see me and can you hear me?
We can see you. We can hear you.
I think I have a stronger connection now, and I think that we should be okay, hopefully. I see that I have a full signal now, and I apologize about all of the pop-ins and pop-outs. Okay, let's get back to what I was talking about this FHA, because this is very important for you to know. Again, I feel like it's undercover discrimination against us. They are, and it's a little bit about greed too. If they don't have to fix anything, then why should they take an FHA person? That's one thing. The other thing is we are in a tough market where properties all over the 50 states are selling well above asking price. Our people normally need closing cost assistance. You know, you have your down payment and you have your closing costs. Your closing costs take care of the loan officer. The loan officer and the bank has to get paid to do your loan. And those costs are also figured in the amount that you need to bring to closing when you purchase. So a lot of our people don't have both. They may have closing costs, but they don't have the down payment. They may have the down payment, but not the closing costs. So obviously, we like to try to get help from the sellers. And remember, closing costs are not the seller's costs. The closing costs are the buyer's costs. So with that being said, the sellers are so, I say they're in the driver's seat right now. It's a seller's market. So it's very difficult for you to have an FHA loan, need closing cost assistance. I'm advising all of my clients to save as much money as they can in case they're faced with a situation where they have to pay their own closing costs. Again, this is their cost anyway. But typically we have always tried to get help from the seller. You pay your earnest money. Your earnest money is sort of like a security deposit. And you put that up when you get an accepted offer. That just shows that we're taking the property off the market and you're interested in purchasing it. However, you need to understand that you're up against a lot of other people. You're up against cash buyers. You're up against conventional buyers. You're up against private money lending and hard money lending. And you might not know what those things are, but investors use that lending to purchase properties. And sometimes they're purchasing these properties for investment and for people to live in. So you are up against all of these people, and we have to try to be competitive. This is really important. Let me tell you something that's really important here as it relates to lending. The lenders are now coming out with extra special programs for you. One of them is called the Fast Track program. And that Fast Track program, what it does is it allows you to go through underwriting without a property. So what they do is they take your income, they send you straight through underwriting as if you already have a property picked out. What that does, it cuts down your underwriting time and it puts you in the driver's seat to be able to close quicker. Normally the process is 30 to 45 days. But if you go through the Fast Track program with some of these lenders, not all the lenders are doing it, but a lot of them are. And if you get in a Fast Track program, you'll probably be able to close in 30 days or less. And that is a leg up from other people. Maybe not cash, because cash is always king. You know that. But I can tell you that will help you to have a more attractive offer put on the table and you to be able to close sooner. They'll look at your approval and see that you have already been through underwriting and that you're already approved, so that they have no fear of your loan not going through and the closing not happening. So that's a plus, the Fast Track program.
If you are just tuning in, we're live on Intellectual Radio. We're talking to Tamara Mutri, our real estate guru, and we're talking about from renter to home ownership. And she just got done mentioning the Fast Track program as it relates to purchasing a house, which cuts down the time on you getting approved for that house. So Tamara, I really want to get into some of the pros and cons as it relates to renting and home ownership.
Okay, so I do want to say that the pros of home ownership have everything to do with your money not going down the drain. And I'm going to be going back and forth between the pros and cons, because we all know that if you're paying rent, you're paying somebody else's mortgage, or you are making someone else's pocket fat. It definitely isn't yours, because they may have a mortgage that you're paying, or they may be making money from that property. And there's absolutely no reason why you can't do it yourself. You can become a landlord. I've been telling a lot of my people that they could start off by buying a duplex or a single family. One of the ways that you can benefit from being a homeowner and getting a multi-unit first is because the tenant that moves in can be paying your mortgage. You are able to have that tenant pay that mortgage, and you can be living for free, or not necessarily free, but maybe with your utilities. But your mortgage may be covered by that tenant. If you buy a townhouse, duplex, You can even purchase a 4-unit as a first-time buyer. If you qualify, and they also use the rental income to help you qualify to get your loan. And maybe a lot of people didn't think about that, or they didn't know that. Or I hear a lot of people say, well, oh, I don't want to live next to nobody. But you know what? You got to think about why you are doing this. You need to do it for investment. You can always stay in it for a year, move out, and now you can rent out both units. You still have 2 tenants, and now you're cash flowing on the property. And if you want to, you can continue on. So now you're doing real estate investing. Now you can continue to keep buying more and more properties. And here's a cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is to buy one really inexpensive, and you just keep upgrading. Keep upgrading. Every year, you can buy another property, buy it in a different location, but you're upgrading. You have to upgrade your neighborhood, make sure you're paying more, and by the time you look up, you'll have 6 units. You only have to have 5% down doing that. And of course, all of these lenders and everybody else, they're not going to tell you this, because there's a group of people out there that don't want us to get ahead. But I am here to tell you today that it can be done. A lot of it is called house hacking. There's nothing wrong with you buying a 3-bedroom home and having tenants or roommates move in. Now you're collecting that income. Now you're putting money in the bank saving, and you can continue to keep doing that. Being a renter, you can't do anything like that. The other thing that's important is you are building equity. That equity that continues to build. I'll give you an example. My husband and I bought a property in Florida back in 2019. We bought it for $144,000. As I look today, a year and a half later, the value is now $172,500. You can't do that being a renter because it's not yours. You can't build equity being a renter. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you understand why it's so important for you to build equity, for you to be able to collect rental income? Maybe you don't like living with other people, but you got to think about the end goal. And you also need to be buying these properties for your children. Do you have children that are getting ready to go to college? Do you realize that these properties can help put your children through college? You want to have something that you need to leave to your children. So however many kids you have, that's how many properties you should be buying, so that each one of your children can have that. And again, you may be creating an additional income stream, and also having funds to take care of that child. Buy your properties, buy an airport, buy your properties, buy a college, buy them, buy a hospital. You can do Airbnb out of these properties. You can move on to bigger and better later, but continue to keep your properties because it builds wealth, and you are creating a legacy for yourself, your children, and your family.
I have a question, Tamara. Does it matter, or do you prefer for you to buy the house first or get rental property first? Like, does it matter which you should do first?
Well, I'm going to be totally honest. It's really personal preference. But me now giving the best advice out to anybody, I would say start off with a multifamily. That means even a 4-unit, 2-unit, 4-unit, 3-unit, if you are able to do that. Because remember, again, that income from the other tenants helps you to qualify for more. And with that being said, again, you're creating an additional income stream. It only makes sense for you to be able to do that if you can do it. Again, some people are in a situation where they don't want to be bothered with other people, and I get it. Some people, they want a single family and they don't want to be up above or below anybody. But again, you got to understand the end goal of why you should be doing the multifamilies versus a single family. A single family, you could still have people move in with you, but again, you have units that you can have separate units, and you can rent those properties out. You have the benefit by having roommates move in, but it's not the same. And you could do it in 2 units, 4 units, 3 units. Your single family is just that, a single family. Some investors only like to do single families because they're easier to manage. With multifamilies, yeah, you do have some upkeep, but you're going to have upkeep in your own home if it's a single family or a duplex anyway. So it really is personal preference though, but my best advice is to have someone start off with either a townhome, duplex, or multi-unit.
Okay, so some of the pros of renting property, and I'm sure you covered it, the freedom to be able to move whenever you want, the lack of the responsibility for maintenance, you have fewer expenses, including utilities. And some of the cons, it says you walk away after putting tons of money into property for someone else. You stuck into a property for 12 months or longer. And sometimes if they sell the property, you could be forced to move.
I have a lot of people that I'm working with right now who are in that situation. Matter of fact, I had a couple of people inbox me today. They told on Facebook told me that their landlord is selling the property and they have to move. Thank goodness one of the people I'm actually helping purchase a home. That's one person. But another person inboxed me today and said she needs me to help her get pre-approved because her landlord is selling the house that she's living in. And I helped a lot of people like that last year, where the landlords seemed to be so unforgiving. They didn't even give their tenant the opportunity or a chance to buy it. Or maybe that tenant may have taken too long. They sent them to their lender. And guess what? Their lender did not get it done for them. Their lender said no. But then my lender that I sent them to turned around and said yes. And they left the table with a check. This was a teacher, a school teacher out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Great credit in the 700s. And the bank that he used, I don't want to call anybody out, but it was a credit union that he used. And they denied his loan. And I took him to another one of my preferred lenders. He received 100% financing. And with that being said, he was able to purchase that home. He walked away with a $1,500 check. So I always tell everybody, just because one lender said no, you would think that all of the guidelines are the same and that they mirror each other, but they really don't. One lender may say you need a 620 score to work with them. Another lender may say you only need a 580. And those ones that will accept the 580, they do all types of things. And you're still able to qualify based on that. 12 months of on-time payments in a Chapter 13. If your credit score is a 580, you can still purchase. And I know a lot of people don't know this. You were never told before now. People will tell you got to wait 7 years. That's not true. A lot of the people on my Facebook page thought you needed a 720 score to purchase and that you needed 20% down, and nothing could be further from the truth. You only need 3.5% down to get an FHA loan. And even though I said it was difficult, it's not impossible. I am getting people. I got their offers accepted. I have several people who I have transactions on the table right now who are FHA. I just kept trying and I just never give up. I never give up trying to help my people. I could go out there and buy and sell all of these $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 houses if I decided to work with that market and do that. And I do sometimes. But my main objective is making sure that I can help the people who really, really need the help. People who have been thrown away or told that they couldn't do it. People that have lower credit scores that seem to think that this is impossible for them to do. Those are the ones whose lives that I'm turning around to make sure that you can get in a home, because some of you are paying $1,100, $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 in rent. When you equate that to the numbers and you start looking at what that would entail if you purchased, that's about anywhere from a $200,000 to $250,000 house. So if anything else, if you're getting stimulus money back, yes, I'm touching on that. You getting stimulus money back, you getting tax money back, whatever, you need to be putting all of that money to the side so that you can make this happen for yourself, because everybody starts to complain about their landlords. That's the other kind. You complain about the landlord not fixing things. You can't do this. You can't do that. I saw somebody on Facebook. They said that her grandkids couldn't come over. These landlords have all these types of rules and regulations. And, I'm a landlord myself, but I do understand where I need to draw the line in the sand with telling people what to do and telling people how to live their lives. Most people, they understand the rules, but some of them are starting to be ridiculous, telling you who can visit and how long a person can visit you. It's a difference when they move in, but it's another difference if they are just coming to visit for a week because they're out of town. Yes, nobody should be able to tell you who you can have at your house. These are the types of reasons why you need to try to make a difference in your own life and become a homeowner. It's so many African American people who, if they just had a little push and a little bit of help with the credit and the finance part of things, then that they can do it. Again, we should all be trying to work towards that. I don't care what your situation looks like. I've brought people from 400 something credit scores all the way up into the 580s and 600s and even higher to be able to get themselves financed.
I think a lot of people, Tamara, get discouraged because they don't know the process that it takes, to lead you to home ownership. They hear so many stories, so many horror stories that people may have went through, and just not getting that information on your own to know what it is to actually get through it and know that it's not going to be a quick process, that you are going to have to do some work in order to get there.
Right. And some of that work, and I'm glad you brought that up, and it's all true, that you need to get your documentation in order. When I first came on, I told you to get a folder. That was when the video kept flickering on and off. Get yourself a folder and get out your last 2 years of tax returns, your last 2 years of W-2s. They're going to ask for every place that you worked at. Put all that stuff together. They're going to ask for a VOE. That VOE is called verification of employment. If anything looks kooky on your credit and they want to be able to find out what's going on with it, they may ask you for a letter of explanation, and that acronym is LOX. A letter of explanation of why you move some money from here or there. They want 3 months of bank statements. Why do they want that? Why are they asking for your bank statements? They want to see if you've been saving your money. They want your funds to close to be sourced and seasoned. What does sourced and seasoned mean? The source is where the money is coming from. The seasoning is how long it's been in your account. You can't have little new them drop $10,000 in your account and think that they're not going to ask where it came from. You can't do that. You need to be able to show where the money came from. And there is something that's called the gift of equity. If you don't have enough down payment funds, a family member can help you with your down payment. And some of the lenders do have what's called the gift of equity, which means mom, dad, sister, brother can put in money to help you with your down payment when it's time for you to close. So you keep that in mind. This is very important. I see some questions down here and I'm too blind to read it.
That's okay. Lisa Adams. Hey, Lisa, she said, I have been a homeowner for 9 years, but I remember how some of the lenders treated me as it related to my score. It was bad and disappointing, but I had a goal.
Well,
all right, Lisa.
I love that testimony. We just have to do what we need to do. And, they might talk greasy to you, but when it's all said and done, instead of being upset about it, we just need to go harder. We need to pick up every resource that we can to be able to improve ourselves so that we can be marketable just like any other person and work hard at it. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of people that work hard at getting wigs and they work hard at looking good and work hard at getting their nails done and lashes and everything. You can work just as hard to do this because this is the most important. I have to keep it real here. We have to learn that there are some things that are more important than going out to eat, partying, and spending up all your money, and then you don't have anything to show for it. And a lot of our people have this problem, and then they get mad because they're in a bad situation with the landlord. The landlord said that their baby daddy can't come over, or boyfriend, and all that stuff, or you can't have a dog. And think about all of these different stipulations that they keep putting on you. When if you improved yourself, you can go and get your own home and have as many barbecues as you want. Have Jose and them come over in the back and they can put you a deck in the back and you can just Enjoy yourself.
I totally agree.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You're right. Lisa said she kept pushing and made sacrifices. She even canceled trips. And you have to know, what that end goal is going to be. And if you have to put off getting your hair done or your nails done for a year to save up some money and going out to eat, then that's what you have to do because you have an end goal. And a lot of times as African American, we wear our wealth on the outside. It's in our purses, it's in our shoes, it's in our clothes, it's in our jewelry, it's in our hair. Everything, our wealth is on the outside. And then we go home to a little apartment, but everything else is, we're showing everything. We have nothing in the bank. We living from credit card to credit card. I mean, that's not living. You fronting for everybody else, but then you go home and you miserable.
That's right. And then you robbing Peter to pay Paul when you didn't have to have those snuffleupagus lashes on. You didn't have to buy those, later on, if you have some extra money, but keep your money to the side and make sure that you are continuing to build your nest egg. So when it comes time for you to want to do this, then you'll be able to do it. And I've never seen so many people complain, talk crazy about the landlords, call them slumlords. He won't do this. He won't do that. Well, what are you doing for yourself to get out of that situation? That's all I'm saying. Stop calling your landlord a slumlord, because guess what? The only person that can change your situation is you. We cannot keep on pointing fingers at everybody else. My grandmother always told me, you point your finger at somebody else, there's 3 more fingers pointed back at you. You need to improve your situation. And listen, it's too many resources out here for you to not repair your own credit. You don't always have to pay a credit repair company to take care of things for you. Go to YouTube, get right on Facebook. Facebook has a lot of credit groups. One of them I can tell you, it's not even my group, but I have one too. It's Tamaro's Credit Clinic. But there's some other ones called Road to 750. All you have to do is just type in anything credit related. Yeah. They have a bunch of credit groups that you can get in.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have no idea how much help and resources are out there on YouTube, Facebook, and all over Google. You can do it yourself if you put your mind to it.
Any question that you want, you just type it in Google or on YouTube, and it's going to be a video. Somebody has already answered it. I do belong to the Road to 750, and when I say they answer all questions, they have any type of letter or documents that you need because somebody has already been through it. So all of that information is there to where you don't have to walk this journey by yourself. There's so much out there to where we can, partner with someone else to help us on this journey. You don't have to do this alone because you're not the only one that's trying to go from renter to home ownership.
Let me tell you something else that is really important. And I see that there are some people on here who are already homeowners, and that's good because you never stop learning. I like the fact that Lisa is on here letting us know her story and her testimony, because Lisa may want to move up. There's a such thing as called a move up buyer. And Lisa needs to know what she needs to do to get her house in order if she decides to sell it, or if she decides that she wants to rent it out and move on and upgrade to something bigger. But the beauty of Lisa's situation is if she wanted to, and she has equity in her home, she can cash out, refinance, or do what's called a HELOC, home equity line of credit. She can take that money and she can use that money towards her next house that she purchases. So she'll have that money plus whatever money she has saved in the bank. She'll look like an excellent candidate for being a move-up buyer. There's a lot of people that downsize and they buy homes. Maybe they had 5 children and it was the last one just went off to college. All the other ones have graduated. They're in a big 6-bedroom home and now they need to sell. Well, now they need to sell their home so that they can downsize into maybe a small 3-bedroom home. There's a lot of reasons why you need to purchase, so that if you need some additional money, even with the HELOC, that can also help with your child's education if you want to send them to college. So keep that in mind when you think about trying to purchase versus staying a renter, that there are so many other benefits and write-offs, tax write-offs, that you can get for being a first timer. And not just a first timer, anybody. You're going to be getting write-offs every year for being a homeowner. Some people have become homeowners so that they can offset some of their taxes, because some people, they owe Uncle Sam every year. And that's a way to minimize that debt that you owe. There's so many other reasons why this is a good business decision and personal decision to make.
I have a question. How long, Tamara, does it take to build the equity in the home?
Well, I'm be honest with you. These days, I know that I saw some stuff going on Facebook where a person bought a house and they decided they just didn't like the area. It was someone who had relocated somewhere. And they decided they didn't like it and wanted to move someplace else. So like maybe 3 months later, they put the home on the market, and I think they made 30 grand off of it. So listen, it can build as quickly as 3 months, longer. I'll give you another example. A lady out of California who has a lot of units that I manage in Milwaukee. She buys a lot of investment properties. She bought the property last year. She had it for about a year, I want to say. And she bought it for $61,000. She paid cash for it. And then she did a cash out refi on the property recently. Her appraisal came out at $81,000. It's 3 unit. Her appraisal came out at $81,000. She pulled $50,000 out of the property. She's taking that money and she's using that for down payments to buy more properties.
Wow. Lisa says she's looking to buy property soon, additional property soon.
Well, tell her she needs to come on over to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the numbers are really good. Because I'm telling you, that's what everybody is doing now. A lot of out-of-state investors are doing this. And this is the beauty of the home ownership. Usually when you get your first property, all the rest of the properties that come after that are much easier. You'll be familiar with the process. And yeah, you have to end up putting a lot more down. Here's another cheat sheet I got to tell everybody. The other cheat sheet is, if you want to get into real estate investing and you already own a home and you don't want to put down 20 or 25%, buy a second home in another state. Buy a single family as a second home. You can buy it as a vacation home. It's a vacation home. You can do Airbnb out of it. That's why I talked about buying a home near a school, a college, by the airport. Again, by a college. Hey, maybe you don't have any children, but maybe you can rent the place out to college students. Now you can rent out the rooms. Listen, all of this extra money coming in can be put in the bank for you to continue to keep buying more properties. And a lot of people have done this and they've scaled their business up, and it has replaced their income from their 9-to-5 jobs. I'm one of the ones that can say that, because that's how I started off. I bought my first primary residence back in 1999, and I was able, the market was good at the time. I pulled cash out while you were talking about that equity, Rochelle. I pulled cash out of that property twice. And that, I believe I got $32,000. And then maybe 3 to 6 months later, got another $28,000 out of it, because I had a low balance on my mortgage. And the equity had built up in it. And I used that money to scale up, and I ended up with about 50 doors at that time. And then the market crashed in 2008, and then I liquidated and I started all the way back over. And right now I'm the proud owner of about 22 doors right now. And I own properties in Georgia, Florida, Wisconsin, nothing in Illinois yet, but I'm looking. But I'm letting you know that anybody can do this if you are disciplined enough. But buying your first home puts you in the driver's seat for you to do whatever else you want to do down the line.
Kenya says she wants to purchase 3 more properties. So they ready to buy. They are ready.
Wow. Well, you know,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was getting ready to say, well, they can all reach out to me. Rochelle, you have all my information to give them.
Go ahead and tell them how to stay connected with you and where to find you.
Okay, listen, I'm all over the net. You can find me. Listen, Facebook is my jam. You can find me on Facebook anytime, all the time. You can inbox me there. I have several Facebook pages. Most importantly, I have a real estate group called Top Women in Real Estate. Join that group, Top Women in Real Estate. I'm on Instagram, but I'm mainly on Facebook, and I do answer. Sometimes my stuff goes to spam, so please don't be offended if I don't get to you right away. But you also can have my cell phone number. You can text me, but Facebook is best. I'm letting you know that now. At 414-949-5566. Reason why, 414-949-5566. The reason why Milwaukee has good numbers for duplexes. So you can buy a single family in Milwaukee sometimes between 30, 40, and 50,000, and you can get 1,000 to 1,200 in rent. That's a good return on your money. Again, that second home. You might want to buy a second home in Florida, do Airbnb out of that property in Florida. That's good money there. Okay. Remember, you only need 10% down if you're buying a second home. That's the cheat sheet I was telling you about. 10% down in a different state that you live in. You live here in Chicago, buy something in Milwaukee, buy a vacation home, buy it in Florida, a second home, buy a second home in Georgia. 10% down. That's all you need. With the right lender, tell them you only want to put 10% down. Tell them it's a second home, not investment property. You say investment property, it's 20 to 25% down. Second home, you only need 10%.
Tamara, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your wealth of knowledge with listeners. You know, I appreciate you. I will leave you all with these words of wisdom. Every accomplishment starts with a decision to try. Join me next Monday right here at 6 p.m. on Intellectual Radio. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Rochelle, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on intellectualradio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.